come to you with cold feet still, because I've been in the sea this morning and it was really, really lovely. It was so clear, crystal clear. I almost had a, Mediterranean turquoise colour, and the sand was golden because the sun's out. It was such a mixture of sensations on my body because we had the heat and there was the bit of a wind which was cooling, and then once I was gradually walking into the sea, it's still cold, the water, so it was a little bit painful, and then I got in, but then once I was at level with the sea, you could feel the heat being absorbed into the water. It's almost like sitting on top of the water like a film, the heat was. My body was just warming up, still a bit cold, but then my face and my head that was outside the water was sort of burning in a sense with the heat, and there was so many different sensations going on there because there was the heat, there was the cold, there was swirling water. And then when I flipped onto my back and I was floating, really stretched out, like making a star shape and looking up at the sky. It was so peaceful, so peaceful. And then, flipping back and looking at my body under the water, and it was sparkling through the clear water. My body was sparkling. It made me feel so good being in my body at that moment, and I was so grateful. I stayed in probably longer than I should have. That's probably why I've still got cold feet and a cold belly, a cold core, but we're getting there. And we start this conversation with Amina Smith-Gul talking about another trip into the sea, and we were touching upon the film Black, I think it's Black People Can't Swim, that Amina's been involved in, and it's a critical or contentious sort of like theme around Black people and swimming. And the main belief is that we don't swim, but we do swim. There's a lot of issues around us swimming, our bodies, our hair. And, if you think about in the States, there was the segregation, and a lot of Black people don't learn how to swim because of these issues. But yeah, so I think that's something we need to explore again further in a different episode. But let's get into this episode. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Earth Sea Love podcast. The Earth Sea Love podcast has been made possible by the funding from National Lottery Heritage Fund. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. And this episode with Amina Smith-Gul, aka City Girl in Nature, is so refreshing. She is young, but she is, so wise in the experiences that she's chosen to pursue and then also share with her generation. In this episode, we talk about her awakening journey to the Peruvian Amazon rainforest and how she's planning to go to Kenya. Obviously, she's been now, because this was recorded back in March when we were still in lockdown, but coming out of lockdown. And now this episode's coming out in June. The government has just announced that Freedom Day, as it was being called, the 21st of June, will be postponed because of the rise in the Delta variant in the UK. But it's interesting to be listening to this episode back then and releasing it now, 3 months later, and how things, well, for myself, haven't changed that much. I might have had my 2 vaccinations, but I'm still carrying on as usual, and that usual is the sense of masked, social distancing, cleaning, not really exploring further afield than is needed or necessary. But there is that idea of having the vaccination diminishing a little bit of fear around moving within this world. And I think it's just getting used to COVID-19 always being here and being part of our lives moving forward, and how our lives change and adapt to accommodate this. Anyway, I'm just babbling on. This is the episode with City Girl in Nature, Amina, and I hope you enjoy it. She's such a joy to talk to. Anyway, bye for now, and thanks for listening. So how are you keeping?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. Excuse my get-up. I've been in the sea this morning. So I'm trying to get warm at the moment.
You swim in the sea quite a lot?
Yeah, maybe about 2 or 3 times a week. If I could do it every day, I would, but I can't with other commitments. But yeah, all year round as well. It's it definitely keeps me sane. It's my medicine. It is.
That's quite fun actually. So that sounds quite fun. In fact,
Well,
I find that swimming in like the sea or like natural water is way better than pools. I don't really like pool swimming, to be fair.
No, and I'm not sure that I do it often. In fact, pool swimming, because it's usually crowded, too many bodies there, and where I am, the bodies are mostly white bodies as well. So when I get into the pool, it is all eyes on me, sort of thing.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so if I can avoid that.
I'm actually I think you know about the Blacks Can't Swim film, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm actually a part of that also, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's something we kind of spoke with the first one. If you've seen it already, we kind of addressed like some of the issues as well, like hair and body and like foot stuff like that. But in the second one coming out soon, it's actually like it's more directed to like young people, but the first one was more like older people's kind of directed to. But it's all about like being black and like what puts us off as well, like with swimming here, because it's interesting like here that they say like, oh, black people don't swim, but when you go back home to like our countries and stuff, everyone swims, and it's like it's normal. It's not really something that is seen as a taboo kind of thing.
And it's interesting that you should just start talking about and it is Black People Can't Swim, isn't it? These 2 movies, and it was you that put me onto it with trailer for the second one, and I'm glad that you've said about that distinction about it, the different generations that they're trying to hit with the films, because I did think, okay, these look younger, these ones, and it is, and there's that issue of it not being cool, but there is that issue of like, all right then, my hair. And also, when you are a kid, there was those compulsory stuff that you had to do, going swimming with the school. And if you're in a school that I was, where, again, I was the only black body there, you don't want to do it because of, like, all eyes on you. And my body was much more developed than any of the other girls. So it was a case of like, I'm not giving you a show, seeing me naked and going in the showers and all that jazz. So it was a case of like, how many excuses can I come up with for not doing it? But in that process, we actually deny ourselves a lot of joy and pleasure, because I love the water. I love the water.
Definitely.
And if it hadn't been for those school lessons, I wouldn't be able to swim now, and I wouldn't be able to go into the sea and enjoy it. Enjoy it. So so that's black people can't swim, and I'm just saying this. So like, go check out these movies because it addresses so many maybe stereotypes or beliefs or attitudes that we hold, and also what other people hold about us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's for sure. That's what I loved about the film, especially as well, because we speak broadly, like we speak from our perspective, but there is other people that kind of have their input as well that aren't black people. So it's like interesting to see as well what they think. And like with swimming, exactly like you, but with me, I actually learned through school. I used to go, and then when I learned through school, I used to go with my dad, and he used to go like to a gym, and there was a pool there, so I used to just swim laps whilst he would be in the gym. But as I got older, it was the main thing for me was my hair, because like I'm mixed heritage, so like I'm Asian as well as Caribbean. So with my hair, even though I have a small head, I have so much hair. So my thing was like putting the cap on. I had to like try and wear 2 caps, and I'd get in trouble so much with my mom. Like, don't get the chlorine in your hair, and it was like it's inevitable. Like I can't help it if it happens. Like, and just like thinking about all of that type of stuff was like the main thing with me. And I was just like, oh no, I know when I go home, my mom's gonna have to wash my hair, and I used to hate doing my hair, like
pulling the comb and the hit on the head with it. Like, keep your head still.
And if you cry, I'll give you something to cry for.
Oh gosh, yeah, that takes it all back. Yeah, and I've just recently had all my hair chopped off, so I've got rid of my dreads for 17 years. It was, but I needed an extra big swimming cap to put all my dreads in because I didn't want to get the sand in when I was in the sea. But that came from the States or Australia, not being able to get it in the UK. And I remember doing the Great North Swim, and you have to wear their designated caps that they give you because, you know, you went in different waves. So there were different coloured hats with numbers on. So you had to wear them so they could identify you in the water. Well, it was just the normal size hats, wasn't it? So I just had to put my hair on a bun at the top, and it just sat on the bun like that. And the rest, that was it. But that was so it was all legal and legit. But again, these sort of like events that are open for all, are they really open for all and accessible to all, if that's the idea what they think of a normal cap is? So yeah, anyway, we went off on a tangent, but welcome, Amina. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you here, and it's so good to see you. So before we really get into other stuff, the first thing I ask is, where are you? Where are you based? And I don't mean you like your door number and your street. We don't have to go that detailed. But yeah, and if you can see any nature where you are, outside your window, close by, etc.
So, I'm based in London, southeast London, Lewisham Borough. I grew up in Deptford, and I now live still locally. So, I'd say that nature-wise, there's probably a few parks around, but where I actually live right now is quite nice because it's like a bit more reserved in the sense of there's actually loads of hedges and like just general bits of grass area around where I live right now, which is really nice. And to be fair, around my area, there's a lot of bird sounds, which is really comforting for me to know that I can hear like birds around and nature itself. Whereas like where I used to live and where I grew up is an estate, so most of the sounds were actually like police sirens or like that type of noise. Whereas now I kind of have proper like nature kind of nostalgia of the Amazon as well, hearing those sounds. And like,
it's good that you've got that contrast to know the difference in a sense, because a lot of kids will just continue to grow up within the estates, within the urban environment, and maybe not have that bird song. And I think that's such a shame and such a pity. We met through all the elements social, which I totally loved, because I just did a recording with Sheree you know, the person who created all the elements. So we'll touch upon that. The idea of meeting up with black and brown, well, it wasn't, it was diversity, wasn't it? It was across people who were wanting to create more diversity in the outdoors. But I hadn't been to a social like that. And also it was a social where it was guaranteed that people were coming from a diverse spectrum of society. And I so welcomed that event. So I met you there. Yes. And at that time, all I knew you were as, because you might have mentioned your name, but I just knew you as City Girl in Nature. And I thought, oh yeah, I know her from its Instagram. I knew that handle from Instagram. I thought, oh my gosh, it's you. Sort of thing. So can we just talk about City Girl in Nature? Because what is City Girl in Nature and how did that come about?
So City Girl in Nature, that is essentially what I like to be known as, more than even my name, in fact. So what it is an initiative that I've kind of created through trying to promote the outdoors for the younger generation that are actually from inner cities, because that's actually where I come from. As I'm kind of mentioned previously, I grew up like close to an estate. I'm from a much different background to most people that engage in the outdoors typically. How I actually got involved into the outdoors was in 2018. I traveled to the Peruvian Amazon and I camped for 3 weeks with the British Exploring Society. And in that experience, there was no mobile phones. I was actually the only black girl. There was one other person out of 60. So there was like not a lot of different ethnicities there. I think there was another Asian boy as well. Yeah, generally there was less than 5 of us out of the amount of people that were there. So yeah, it was that in itself also was an experience for me to see how different it was. Just see how the outdoors is kind of populated and not really directed per se to like young BAME people, because literally, and a lot of them did come from like middle class backgrounds as well, and me coming from a working class background, that was another difference. But I kind of noticed all these different types of things. Whilst I was there, I'm quite I like to talk to anyone anyway. So it was a wonderful experience to kind of hear their perspective on life and everything. Considering as well, we had no phones, nothing. It was 3 weeks of literally bonding and like getting to know each other and just discovering and exploring the outdoors. It was beautiful. Like, it was a one lifetime experience, to be fair, because not many people kind of get to do that as well. And especially not someone from a Deptford estate. So like I was like, it was just amazing. And yeah, so that's where it kind of started when I went on my expedition in 2018. But since then, I was involved in much other stuff like football coaching, because that's kind of my background, sports and stuff like that. So I kind of was doing football and stuff like that. But over the years, I've been thinking about how am I going to like give back to my community, because it was something that I thought about as soon as I came back. So I was still doing stuff I knew already, which was football, and I got involved with like a youth council and stuff like that, and I started working with Black Minds Matter, which is a project as well for like young people, encouraging leadership skills. But then there was like DFV, so there was like all these outdoor things coming towards me, like the energy was coming towards me, like I couldn't avoid it. And I was thinking, I love this DFV, because I didn't know much about DFV either, in fact. So I was like, wow, this is amazing, like this is happening, how can I actually give back? Like, I was thinking, another thing about me is that I like to use myself as an example, because I feel that that's another way that a lot of young people, but people generally, can relate to, and kind of and I think it's true to yourself as well. When you use yourself as an example of something you believe in, people then look at you and think, wow, yeah, this person means it. They're actually doing it. They're not just preaching and not doing it themselves, which I respect and I love, and that's what I try to do. Yeah. So what I do now is actually, I have a YouTube channel, which is City Girl in Nature as well, and I've been posting videos about me engaging with the outdoors. I went to Jamaica in December. I recorded a video with my cousin about the difference between our backyards and our backyards here, and that was like a short little video about that. But also I've recently posted a video about like what's in my bag, and I'm just trying to engage everyone through my own journey, because it is my own journey. Even though I've gone on such a wonderful expedition, I'm still learning more about the outdoors and wanting to share my experience with others, so they also feel like, oh, this is something I could do too. It's not just like for people that are white people, if you want to say, or rich people. It's the outdoors is for everyone. Nature is actually the source of this world. Without nature, like, nothing would really be around. But yeah, that's just a bit about City Girl Nature. I also have a website as well, in fact, that should be launching this week. Yay. Which is www.citygirlnature.com, and that has more context about me and what I'm doing. So
awesome. Yeah. No, that is so lovely, because you've just like a breadth of stuff in there that I want to unpick. So all these links that you're mentioning will be in the show notes so people can find you, okay? Just thinking about this expedition that you went on, and it was the Peruvian Amazon rainforest. Posted a little snippet of this on Instagram that I was looking at, and it looks so beautiful. Listening to you, I think this was a life-changing experience for yourself. You're saying about being there for 3 weeks without a phone and bonding with people. You had no other choice. But what also was it about the landscape that awoken something within you? Something really happened to you there, and I'm really interested to know, what do you think it was?
Definitely. Do you know what's so funny as well that you say that? When I actually came back, I had that exact, what you just said is exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, something's different, but I didn't know exactly. But as time has gone by, that's why as well I started this initiative only the end of last year, because it took me a bit of time to process that it was just literally nature. That's what it was. Nature literally awoke me into being myself more. It was like it's just like a spiritual kind of thing. Once you engage with nature and you start to get to know that nature is actually the source of most things, that's literally what it is. Once I was there, although I was bonding with people I didn't know, and the experience, it was mainly the exploring of nature. And the Amazon is such a diverse place. Animals, insects, there's such a widespread of like different sorts of things there. And it's just like taking all of that in and just realizing that, not that your whole life was a lie, but like, wow, like, is this really what life is about? Mm-hmm. It's like that kind of moment of like realizing that everything that I kind of experienced prior, living in the city and not being exposed to that type of outdoors engagement, was like, wow, this is kind of maybe the source of why I feel a bit of the way I feel. Like, I feel ambitious, but then I have like mental blocks about certain things. But once I actually started engaging, the tunnel vision came from that one experience, and my whole life changed. And the way I looked at life changed, kind of had more certainty about what I wanted to do. I always wanted to kind of help people in sorts of ways. I used to do football coaching more so, but then it became like a different level of thinking, just like so driven to just get on with things as well. And it was just literally the walks, the trekking through the jungle and just putting up tents. That's literally what literally sparked all of it. It wasn't like I wouldn't say a physical magical thing, but it was definitely deeper than that. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. I mean, like, and also, you know, just goes out in audio, but I can see your face. But when you're talking about this experience, you are lit up. Yeah, I'm so honored that you're here talking about it, because you're so young. I don't know how old you are, but you're so young, right? But you're already thinking about how I had this experience and how I can share that. Or, as you said, give back to my community. Now, where does that come from? You are young, you're in a city. I could be passing judgment here, but I'm not sure if the other people that were on this journey with you would have that as their central thought coming away. It's like, oh my gosh, I've had this wonderful, life-changing experience. Now I want to share that and give it back to my community. Now, where does that come from? Is it, I'm thinking that when I experience my nature connection, I think everyone should experience it. Everyone should have that right to experience it. And so many of our people are missing out on that experience. That's why I share it. Why do you feel you need to share?
So to be fair, the reason why I share it is a bit similar to you, but it's also because even though I am young, I've experienced a lot of trauma from a young age. So a lot of when you go through traumatic things, you grow faster. And like I feel like because of the trauma I faced, and it enabled me to, like what you said, have a different perspective of that experience than everyone else on that expedition. Because it was like, wow, like it was just like it was like it fell out of the sky, this opportunity. Like it was like, oh my days, all of that, the trauma that I'd faced has brought me to here. That's just changed my life, kind of thing. It was like, wow, like that's what I needed. It was like something I needed. Because I felt that, I then felt, wow, all of my peers and people I know that probably go through similar trauma to what I have also. So for my community, it's like, wow, I got to try and give this to them also. I know that most of them are a bit resistant, but because they know me as well. That's one thing as well. Yeah. Because they know me and they know that I've been through similar things to them and I like some of the things they like, they relate to me more. So they're like, maybe I should look at what's going on with this nature stuff, camping and like trekking. Before, like they would even when I was going to the Amazon and I was telling them, oh yeah, I'm going to the Amazon, they're like, what do you mean? Like, what are you doing there? Like, what's going on there? Like, what? Some of them actually didn't know where it was, in fact. And I was like, you don't know the Amazon? That's the lungs of the world. You don't know about that. I was like, you don't know David Attenborough? He's like, what's going on? Like, they're like, nah, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to see monkeys. Like, I was excited, so excited. I was telling them, yeah, I'm going to see monkeys. They're like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. But after now, I've experienced it. And when I was on expedition, I was constantly with my GoPro recording every little piece of it. So I was able to capture it rather than just being able to share and allow people to feel what I'm saying. I also actually captured it, and it just enabled that conversation with others to be much easier as well. Because when they're seeing it, they're like, wow, like what you mentioned earlier, like, wow, that's what it's like there. Like, that's actually cool. Like, I want to do that kind of thing. Like, oh, I wish I could do that. Like, how did you get to do that? All the positive questions start happening, and it just enables that engagement to kind of push further, to take that little step, because that's what I did essentially. I took the step into going into something that I kind of never knew before, and it enabled such a great experience for me. And that's what I try to encourage others to do also. Just take that little step and kind of see what it kind of manifests into.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that is so beautiful. Honestly, I think it is so beautiful, and such a positive example that you are being to your generation. And I mean, like, so many things I want to chat about there, and I don't want to get into the detail of your trauma. I understand how trauma can affect us, not just our personal trauma, but then also I do believe we have trauma from generations past within our DNA, and that affects our brain and our memories, and also our ability to tell our stories, and share our stories. I'm so glad that you found a nature connection that can help heal from these experiences, but then also you're passing it on to others. So you're saying this was in 2018 when you went to the Amazon. So I want to just go skipping back then into your childhood. You've mentioned growing up in Deptford, in inner city, and you've mentioned a little bit of your background, your ethnicity. So if we could explore that a little bit, like, where's your family from? Because I did really enjoy the video in the backyard in Jamaica with your cousin. I so loved it, and it was so reminding me of Trini. But yeah, so what's your background, and was nature within that background before this trip to the Amazon?
So I'm actually, both of my parents are born in Birmingham. They're first generation. Their parents are, my dad's parents are from Pakistan, and my mom's parents are from Jamaica. So, and they're both born in Birmingham, and I'm born in London. But like most of my family, if not back home, are in Birmingham. So that's a bit about my background there. And prior to me going my Amazon trip, I traveled quite a lot, in fact, with my dad. I didn't really go out with my dad, but I traveled a lot with him. He brought me to Pakistan. That was like my first proper trip when I was about 7. And that was like I was 3 weeks, the first time in my life that I was away from my mom for so long. And I actually really enjoyed it, because where I'm from in Pakistan is a village. So, and it's close to a place called Chagwal, which is like the local town, but there's a village close to it. And it was really interesting for me, even when I went there. And I realized from that point that I was very young, but I realized that the difference between like here and there was massive in the sense of the way of life. But I appreciated it, like from that young age. I appreciated it that, wow, like this is different, but it's kind of cool, like how they live, because it's way more chilled. And like from that age as well, I kind of had this outlook on the way I lived a bit different. I was like, this is a bit different, but it was just like in the back of my head. It wasn't really at the forefront. I was like, wow, like they actually kind of have a better life in the sense of like, it's fresh food they're eating. I saw that my first time I saw an animal being killed was actually in Pakistan as well. And because it's a Muslim country, they like let the blood like drip out. They obviously, to make it halal, their way of like dealing with animals is a bit different. So all of that experience in itself, I was like, wow, like, and even seeing like just animals walking on the road, and I'm like, what? Like traffic is going by and the animals are walking on the road, and like, what's going on? But it was all amazing and like to see, and that's what I kind of appreciated more. And even just like traffic lights and just everything that's so different here is like very structured, whereas it is structured, but it's not as, I wouldn't say, well, kind of like controlling in a sense, because it's like people are using their initiatives and like making sense of how they should maneuver without like, for instance, traffic lights or stuff like that. There's just no instincts and stuff like, oh yeah, it's time to cross the road or let the animal pass, or it's just different the way that things are. So yeah, that's a bit about my heritage. The first time I went abroad, I was 3. In fact, I went to Jamaica. So my early experiences were to the countries that I am actually kind of from, and I suppose that also helped as well with me taking that step to go to the Amazon, because I had already traveled before in a different capacity, like to see family. So I think that kind of helped as well. And my experience when I was really young at 3, I remember going to Jamaica, in fact, mainly because I nearly died, but it was like, but because of that, I still also remember, I know it, my auntie, I'll clear that up a bit. My auntie, my nan's like cousin or something had like dementia, so she didn't know who I was, and she had like an episode. And where we are from in Jamaica as well is like countryside, so like it was like on a hill, so she kind of nearly pushed me down the hill. But I was really young, and she didn't know herself as well because of her like condition. But I remember like Jamaica as well, just like when we arrived there in the car, like I remember there was a lot of us, but we was in one car, and like I was like sitting where people's feet are. So like it was like that. I remember those type of things as well. And like I'm like, wow, like this is different as well. So that's why I probably remember a lot of it also. But yeah, that's just a bit about my heritage.
Let's stick with Jamaica, as I say, because I've the YouTube video with your cousin in his backyard, and how it's so green, but the produce is there. It's just another world to say here, and what's in our backyards here. I mean, like when I did have a yard, it was just weed. hanging out the washing yard, you know, it was concrete. But, you know, you could, from there, yam, and, you know, they could get their whole produce and live off the land. So you went to see him at the beginning of the year, I'm saying January, and then you came back and you were saying, oh, you know, sorry, I haven't been posting anything. It was coming back to here from being there. And I'm interested in those contrasts. I mean, we've talked about those contrasts between the inner city and just moving out to Lewisham and getting a bit more rural or getting some green spaces. But that is just like totally different cultures, that sort of being in Jamaica and then coming back to the UK. How do you find that?
So with me, if I could actually live in Jamaica, I would probably actually move there, to be fair. But I also know that here, there's a lot of, nature-wise, I wouldn't say here is better personally. Because of what you said, for instance, like living off the land is just something just typical for like people back home in our countries. It's just like how they live generally. It's not like, they don't really go to supermarkets and stuff like that. Like they do sort of, but they don't actually have to, because like they have animals that they can get milk and stuff from, and they have yam, and they have like ackee, they have like banana, they have everything that they need in their backyard. And to be fair, my cousin's backyard is just a typical Jamaican backyard, to be fair. Like every backyard you go to, they have, if not free, minimum stuff in their backyard growing, and they have like plants even like for beautification. But you can also use the plants as like herbs and like medicine and stuff as well. So it's that makes it 10 times better as well. Knowing that it's beautiful plant, but it also can like heal you. It can heal you, or it can make the pain that you're feeling ease up a bit. I feel like it's amazing to me. Just how it is. And to be fair, coming back was like, I had to then digest, I was just in Jamaica kind of thing, like enjoying that way of living, to then come back and just kind of deal with like structure again, in a sense, you know, Zooms and like Microsoft Teams, and because especially the climate we're in now, like all this online kind of interactions. Whereas there as well, another difference that I fully notice from a young age is just how different like it is when it comes to communicating with people. In Jamaica and Pakistan, and I'm sure other places, the way people are, we're just generally more friendlier. Like we will say, I experienced that in fact here, but that's only when I go like rural places. But like generally, like in the city and stuff, you don't really see your neighbor and like say, oh, good morning,
good day,
or like, oh, have a nice day. But generally, that's just how it is there. So coming back here to like not having that anymore again, it's like, oh, now I have to be in like stern mode. Like, don't smile too much at people, might think you're weird, like dehumanized a bit. Like, so like, I think that was the main thing why I kind of adjust. That's the main kind of difference, like adjusting back into like, even though I did grow up this way, it's just that I'm way more, that way of living speaks more to like me as a person.
I totally get that, understand that, and concur with that, definitely. So, you know, just a few things here, because we've talked about your YouTube channel, which you've set up, which I'm loving, and it's informative. And as you just said, the last one that you've just put out is like, what's in my bag? So you're saying that you're aiming towards the younger generation. So that could be why also you're on YouTube, because it is a visual medium. And then also saying what's in your bag is that you are providing info. What is then aim or goal for doing this YouTube, providing this information? Why do you think you need to provide this information? I mean, like, other people looking at this like, what? Why is she telling you what's in the bag? Why is it necessary for BAME, Black, Asian and ethnic young people?
Because I feel that sometimes there's the barriers that are stopping people is the lack of knowledge, not knowing what they need or how to start or just to get out there. So earlier I said it's about taking that step, but sometimes some people need a little bit of a push to actually take the step, or to just generally know that there's like other people walking alongside them. I know, especially in this generation, there's a lot of like young people that kind of need that support but won't ask for it as well. I feel that that's why I feel that using that medium that I know young people are already engaging with, and some young people might just stumble across me, and I'm happy to know that even if it's that, it's just not just my reach, but just trying to get out to anyone that is open to wanting to learn more. And it's just, I think that's my main reason why I set up the YouTube channel, and I'm trying to like give back through that way. Especially in the climate now, I can't actually go into schools and stuff as much or stuff like that. So I'm just kind of trying to engage that way. And also, as I said earlier, use myself as an example, because that's what I find that is really like useful as well. When I'm using myself as an example, people are then able to relate more, and they're able to actually see I'm genuine as well, that I'm not just like saying, yeah, like get in the outdoors. Like, I'm not telling them, oh, by the way, make sure you got right shoes on, and, you know, in your bag, maybe you might want this because this is going to help you like with not getting lost, or you might need this tool because this is going to help you with this or that. And I feel like that's really the main reason why.
Like, okay, we are still in lockdown, but, you know, on the horizon, we're supposed to be moving out of lockdown more to more, you know, outside contact, maybe groups, meeting. Are you seeing City Girl in Nature developing from this virtual space into a physical space where you're going to start offering experiences in nature to groups of young people, do you think?
So yeah, I would love to do that in the future, but just to start off with, to kind of build up like a momentum kind of thing with myself as well as the people I'm engaging with already. I'd love to do that, what you're saying right now, because that is kind of the ultimate kind of goal, to actually not just speak about it and be able to engage online, but also actually give that experience to other people that I'm often talking about and referring to and trying to like promote. Is kind of enabling it as well. So yes, for sure, I'd love to do that and kind of be able to give back that way also. City Girl Nature as well, it's a personality as well. It's not just like it, because it's in its name, like a city girl in nature. It's two contrary kind of things, and I feel like that can also speak to other people as well that are like dealing with other things. And it just like moving forward, I definitely do want to actually work with young people face to face, and kind of also like, I know already people that have asked me like, when can we go hiking, or can I camp with you, and like, oh, it seems fun, but I'll do it because it's you, or like stuff like that. I've heard like so many comments like that, and that encourages me as well to know that there is a need there, and there is people that are going to want to engage. Even if there wasn't, I'd still try, but like knowing that there is that comforting to know as well, like there's people, the people I'm especially trying to reach is the people that don't actually want to get in the outdoors. I love the people that want to be in the outdoors too, obviously, because they're on the same mission as me and understand the benefits of it. But the ones that actually don't, I want to like kind of encouraging them to see that, well, take the step, and like you'll see for yourself, and they'll actually want to do it themselves and be proactive also. So that's kind of the passion that I'm trying to like kind of directly and indirectly give back to other young people.
So thank you. And I hope you know that you've got a supporter in me and us, the Earthsea Love podcast. Yeah, so if we can support and help you in any other way, we are here for you.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
It's so lovely speaking to you this afternoon, and I'm really happy, in fact, I met you on that social, and many other people. That was a really good social, like you said.
It was.
Like I was really happy to see like people were, like you said as well, that I had engaged with on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, oh hi, like, and you probably noticed as well how much I was engaged. I was like trying to speak so much, like, yeah guys, like, oh I know this and that, and like
I'm totally with you, because you know those spaces, I few and far between. And when we get in them, I do get a bit hyper. It's like, oh my gosh, this is happening, you know? And like sometimes I feel like I've got to turn it down because people will think, what the hell? But then I thought, no, I'm turning up as authentically me. And if you're not on this bandwagon, fair enough, but I am, you know? It's the case. So yeah, so I definitely made loads of contacts through that. And I made contact with you, man. And that's great in itself. As I say, I've been admiring from afar what you've been doing, but then to actually sit down and chat with you about it is like, yeah, man, you know, I already knew in my gut that you were doing great things, but now I know it's amazing things. And it's coming from not just your experience, but from your heart, you know, and that makes a hell of a difference. It does. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So thank you for your time, Amina. And
thank you for having me.
let's just keep in touch and keep the conversation going. All right.
100%,
You know,
100%. I'm actually going to Kenya in 2 days.
I remember you mentioning that. What's happening in Kenya? Tell us what's happening in Kenya. Is this your first time to Africa?
Yeah, so this is my first time going to the motherland, and I don't know how to feel. Like, I'm not nervous, but I'm like, I know a lot about history and stuff like that, and it's something I'm also passionate about. So going there and actually being able to firsthand be there and stuff like that is just like, it's a bit overwhelming. I haven't got there yet, but I'm like, right now, even though it's 2 days away, I'm like not even prepared in a sense. Like, once I'm there, I know it will be amazing. But yeah, right now I'm just like, it's gonna be for 6 weeks as well. Actually, I'm gonna be there. So
right, we're gonna have you back after the Kenyan experience, because I am telling you now, I am so jealous. I am nearing 50. And I haven't been to the motherland yet. And I'm saying yet because I need to go. I need to go. My son's he's been in Morocco and brought me back some earth as a gift. He brought me, and I was so pleased that he did. But that's just incited me even more so to go there. So yes, you must go. And obviously you're going to be going with your camera again. And so yeah, I can't wait to hear back about that exploration experience.
Definitely.
We wish you well on your travels.
Thank you so much.
We do.
I'm excited to share. In fact, I'm gonna be excited whilst there, obviously. But just to add to what I've already said, that sharing this journey with everyone is also a very key part with my nature engagement now. So yeah, you'll definitely get to see.
Awesome. I'm just loving it. So again, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your passion that you've brought to this.
Okay then, thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.